All right.
Yeah.
And I'll send
Just organic conversations.
exactly, because people want to see the behind the scenes stuff. All right, so I'll introduce myself, then you can introduce yourself. All right, my name is Franchelle Caesar. I am a financial coach for spenders, and I'm here having a conversation. We're going to talk about what we do and how we serve our clients. We're just going to have like a girlfriend type chat. We're just meeting each other, but it's the kind of thing where it's like, I've known you forever. So we're going to talk, and then you guys can listen in. Want to introduce yourself?
Okay, so my name is Shamandran. I am the founder of Handle It Solutions and Services. In a nutshell, I'm an operations consultant. I help high-performing women entrepreneurs to get their time back, putting in systems, putting in processes, putting in the teams, so that they can really have the time freedom that matches the financial freedom that they have been working so hard to build. I believe in abundance, and I think that we can have both. We should be able to have life and business in balance.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy we're talking today. So I am a solopreneur. I do everything myself, bootstrapping my business and like figuring it all out. I know you meet a lot of people like me. That's like who you help, right? Like, so
Yep.
because this is my question. So initially, so I've been in business for 3 years, but just really coaching all of last year. My issue when I first started was like, when do I know I need help? Because at that point I was like, okay, I'm a worker bee. So I liked all the things that I was doing. And I got to the point where I was like, I had like a little list on the post-it notes, like shit I hate doing. And I was like, whenever I hire somebody, this will be the thing I tell them to do. Like, how do you determine when it's time? Like, how do you help people know when it's time to like hire you for operations?
Yeah, and so I think that it is time to hire someone, period, whether it's a operations consultant or just a team member, a VA or something, anything, when you feel like you are supposed to be serving more and you don't have the capacity to do so. Or if you feel like you just want more time and you need more peace and you need more me time and you don't have that capacity to be able to do it because you don't have anyone there to help and support you. I've seen successful solopreneurs that scale to 6 figures and they're perfectly fine, but it depends on what you want. So everything I talk about, it all starts with that vision of like, what do you really want? I know for me personally, when I first started my business, I was working like 80 hours around the clock all the time. And my 8-year-old walked up to me and was like, Mommy, your business takes you away from your family. And so yeah. And so like I would literally wake up in the morning and be extremely frustrated, like just waking up because it's like, take care of the kids, hop on the computer, take care of the house, take care of the kids, hop on the computer, take care of the house. And I had nothing else, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's when you start to shift from this is what I'm doing, but this is what I want. And then you start figuring out, okay, what do I need to do to not have to do the things that I don't want to do, like you said, and who do I need to start outsourcing or who do I need to bring on my team so that I can create what I want.
Yeah, I love that. I think the first thing I outsourced was the laundry. That was the first thing. Cause I was
Yeah.
like, it takes up so much time, right? Like even when and it's so funny because a lot of the women in my group have a similar kind of workaholism kind of thing, like, highly driven women, we just have this thing where it's like you're always doing something.
Do it. Yep.
Yeah, and if you're not always doing something for work, then woman's job is never done. Like now you're doing stuff for home. And I would find myself constantly doing laundry. And my great grandma I remember she would always say, like, fold those clothes while you relax it. Right. And so it's
That is not relaxing for me.
right?
I'm training myself to be able to fold while I look. I want to outsource. My first thing is I want a house cleaner and I
Yeah.
want someone to fold my clothes. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've outsourced in my business, but I haven't outsourced at
On
home
the
yet.
personal side, yeah.
And I homeschool my kids too.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow. That's amazing. But you balanced it then. So if you have help in your business, you have time to to homeschool your kids. Like you've made that the priority. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I did the opposite because I don't mind to do the things in my business that I'm doing right now. I mean, we're getting to a point, but as far as what I've been working on, I'm kind of like, that's cool. But if I'm really relaxing, right, I don't want to be relaxing and doing the laundry. So I started with home stuff first and like, and it's like $1 a pound. And I was like, why haven't I done this sooner? You know, drop it off at the lady. I drop my kids off. I drop the laundry off once a week, actually every 2 weeks now. And then I go get my kids and I pick up the laundry. It takes like 4 hours and it's done. And so I'm like, why haven't I done this? So now I still don't relax the way I need to, but I can see where I'm getting to the point where I actually know where I'm holding the reins too tight in my business. And like, I can actually see where, oh, okay, somebody could help me with this part or that part. And so I'm wondering, because that was and I have a lot of people, so tell you about what I do. So I I'm a financial coach. I created the budget diary, which kind of helps people to organize their finances. And I started a financial coaching club where all of spenders, I coach spenders, we can get together, we do mindset coaching and co-working so that everybody stays on top of their budget, but also they stay on top of the mindset that makes them successful with money. So what I've attracted are a lot of women like me who are, you know, ambitious. They either have like a side hustle, plus they're working, or they're all in on their business. And they still have this mentality of like grind, hustle, grind, you know. And so some of them have been pretty good at having help in their business or at home, but most of the time there's still a lot of energy going there because we're still like managing it, right? Like it has to be done a certain way. And so when you start to work with an entrepreneur and they turn over a task to you, do you find that highly successful driven women are still like not quite like we're still holding on to it? We're like, here, you can have it, but let me, you know, like, is that a problem?
Yeah. So for me, the way that I work with clients, I have like it's pretty much three ways that I work with clients. We have the strategy where it's just like sessions and we're strategizing, but then the operations consulting part, they're not releasing their tasks to me. It's like I'm walking alongside of them and helping them to form the mindset of being able to delegate and let it go,
Yeah.
create the processes, create the SOPs, telling them how to work with someone, how to train them, how to bring them on, how to do all those things. And then for like the latter end, which are like the CEOs who already have teams and have more of a structure, I'll come in and I'll put in system processes, hire all that stuff within their business. But I like to call them the women that are in between the gap, right? The women that are going from solopreneur to wanting to be a CEO, and they're kind of like in that space between where you are. It's very hard to release because we're driven and we feel like they can't do it like we do, you know, and then it feels like it's hard. It feels like it takes more work to train and release the task onto them than it does to just knock it out and it's done and over with. But
Yeah.
like you said, with the women that you work with, you have to establish that mindset with them and then continuously put them through the process of being able to do it. Because yes, it's hard work at the beginning, but if you put in the foundation in place and create the habits on how you delegate, then over time it makes it easier.
Yeah, I love that. I hadn't thought of it that way. I'm so happy that you do what you do because it makes a lot of sense that you don't just jump into it. Like I'm just not gonna like start hiring people. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, like hiring, then I'm giving other people anxiety. You know, like it. I think having somebody come in and like not only train me with my mindset to get ready for it, but then also come in and like hire the people. Like this is what you need, you know, because you'll be able to see it easier. Like this is the gap that's going to help you, you know, move further in your business. I think also too, a lot of people like me, like we hire people and then it doesn't work out because we know we were doing, we hired them and now we feel burned and now we're doing everything ourselves again. And it's like we need someone like you to come in and say, actually, this is how you're supposed to be doing it. And this is how you write the SOP. Don't just tell the person like sitting there, you know how we do it. Like when I was in medicine, oh my gosh, look, you could not bring them into the 21st century. It's like sit next to me and watch me put in orders, and then you can know how to put in orders too. No, it's like, what's the process? Like, so I can go off and do it on my own. So I like the idea of creating an SOP where everybody's doing the same thing. I don't have to like walk you through it. There's a procedure, maybe even a video. Like I remember I was working, I would try to like I'm like, can we just make training videos? Because why do you keep having all these new people come sit next to me all day long? Like it's getting on my nerve. Like, can I just, when I started like taking online courses, I was like, let's make an online course. Doctors who are coming in and they can know, how the process is. And it was like, no, we don't do that. So yeah, but that just makes so much sense to have somebody who's an expert at hiring, who understands like how to write these things. Because you don't want my little step 1, step 2, step 3 list about, how to, it's not pretty. Like I understand it. And even then, it's not great. But I love that.
And then one thing that we forget is like, we think that, oh, well, I hire this person and as long as I can tell them what to do, then the process is done. But we have to remember that we're building companies. And so what does it look like for me to manage this person? How do they receive criticism? We don't think about that. How do they receive training? How do they like feedback, right? What's going to be the process of me being able to check in and make sure that they have what they need and that I'm providing what they need to do their job efficiently. And so like when we get burned out because we hired the person wrong, I did a post yesterday and I had to tell them like, it's probably not the person you pass the torch to, but how you pass the torch, like you dropped the ball, okay?
Yeah.
But it's like we have to also understand that we're building a company and we have to structure this company in a way that this person can be successful in helping us.
Right.
It's both sided. It's not just can they do the job, but can I adamantly release the job onto them?
Exactly. I love that. And the funny thing is, like a lot of entrepreneurs, not all, but some of us, we're coming from a background where we became our own bosses because we hated our boss. And so we're like, I would do everything different than what he did. And then it's like, but that ain't gonna work though. Like, it's like there's a reason, and so just kind of, taking on that leadership role and like understanding how to be a leader. There's a lot that goes into it that we really do need, to consider as we grow. So I'm excited. This sounds really, really good. I have to tell you this. So I just got notified. So I applied for this mastermind. And I just got notified that I got accepted, which I'm excited about. I did a little dance, but I haven't fully celebrated because I just found out like an hour ago. But I'm going to be in a room with like so many other people just like me. And so I'm so excited to meet you today because, I'm going to tell them all about you.
Yes, tell them.
Because it's like we're all in this same, stage. And but we have the same questions because it's like the first time. It's like when you're dropping your baby off to daycare the first time, you're like, but is everything okay in there? Can I just go in and look around one more time? Because it's like you've been working on this and trying to build it and you want it to be successful. And it's kind of scary when you're hiring somebody to come in and especially look at everything you've done so far. Like you had that connected to this, like it's the equivalent of like the clothes hanger on the, you're probably too young for this, but like when TVs used to have antennas and you just like bend the clothes hanger and like, oh, you're too young for this. Yeah. But,
no, I know what you're talking about.
Like a little hanger or like duct tape on something. Like you just duct
tape. Or the aluminum or the foil.
Foil on it. It's like, yeah, that's what my business looks like behind the scenes, but nobody knows that because it's just me and it's fine. But when you start to grow, it's like things are broken and they have to be fixed before you can scale. And I'm at that point now where this year I'm like, ma'am, there's some things you got duct tape. You're gonna have to like fix it like for real. So it's so exciting to talk to somebody who this is your job, right? Like this is what you do. This is your zone of genius. And that's amazing.
And it's even not even just the things that are broken. Like what if, things aren't broken, but because it's only you, what happens if you get sick? Like we are experiencing a pandemic, right? If you get COVID or if the kids are sick or if anything happens, Can
Mhm.
your business continue to go? Can it continue to grow? And then also, even thinking about further down the line, many of us entrepreneurs, we're not thinking about legacy. It's all about, oh, building the bag or,
Yeah.
getting the cash now. But what about like all the work that you've built up? What are
Mhm.
you going to pass to your kids? If
Yeah.
something happens to you, I want my business to be able to be passed on. I want them to be able to say, okay, well, something happened to mom, but she had all of this stuff in place, these SOPs, all of this stuff, these guidelines. So we can literally hire some people on that can come in and continue to make money.
Yeah.
Like your business live on further
That
than
is
you.
so it's so interesting because I think when we're in the day to day, we are not thinking about that. I mean, I my kids are 6 years old though, but I don't think as much about leaving the legacy as much as I think of 9 out of 10 businesses fail, and so it's like
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of like getting the thing afloat more than I'm thinking about how it's gonna go down the line. But that's such a good point because we are going to believe, right? We get to choose to believe that our business is going to live on beyond us. That's
Mhm.
such a higher level of belief than just trying to like keep it alive for another year or something like that. So that's so interesting. I'm gonna start thinking about that more. um this thought popped up in my head and it was from I think it's when you were talking earlier, but did you ever watch like Madam Secretary with Taya Leone?
Mm-mm.
No, in Netflix. Okay. It was a show like this, like a female Secretary of State. And I had a mindset shift around it because she had a staff and she had an executive assistant. And her assistant, his name was Blake, and he was, I mean, for all intents and purposes, like when you get off the elevator, he's the guy at the desk, right?
Right.
But when they did a show where they were talking specifically about him, like from his point of view, this man was Ivy League educated. Like he was so, I want to say type A, but like just very like almost OCD about his organization and his skill, like his zone of genius was exactly, it reminded me of when you were talking about what you do for your clients. Like we got to start hiring people who are good at the things we're not good at. And to have like a secretary, you think he's just there, to keep her calendar, but it's like, no, this is serious to him. Like he is on point. Like this is not you just writing something down in your planner or, making
Yeah.
sure you got the Zoom link ready to go. Like, no, this is like somebody's zone of genius. Like somebody eats, sleeps, and breathes. It's just like I drop my laundry off to the ladies and I don't like laundry, but they love it. Like they know all the things about the machines. They know all the things. Like they make everything smell good and all that. Like it can be
Mhm.
somebody's passion, their zone of genius, the thing that they are the best at. And if that
Yep.
person comes into your business and you offload something you just kind of duct taping together, and they're like, no, I know how to do this. Like that will up level
Mhm.
your business so far, so fast. And I always think of Blake because I'm just like, they would show him like she'd get off the elevator in the morning, he'd have her coffee, like he'd be standing in front of the elevator with the coffee. He'd give her the coffee and then tell her everything she had to do. Like you have a 9 o'clock with so and so, you got to blah blah blah. This is what's gonna happen. You need da da da. And he would just give her a quick rundown of her schedule. But then when they show from his point of view what he's really doing, it's like this man is a machine.
Right.
Yes. And I'm like, it totally shifted my perspective on having help because it's like, yeah, you can hire, your cousin to, keep your calendar, or you can hire a professional who eats, sleeps, and breathes keeping a calendar and
Yeah.
can make your business so much more efficient. So I love it. I love that you exist. I love what you do.
I love that you exist too.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I want to know all the things. So how can we get in contact with you?
So of course on Facebook it's Shamandran, my first name, Shamandran Shankle, or Handle It Solutions and Services. And then on Instagram is I am Shamandran, and I also have Handle It Solution and Services. And then my website is handleitsolns.com.
Say it again.
Handle it
Oh, handle it. Okay.
solns.com. So the
Okay.
solution part is abbreviated.
All right. It's so funny because I've been to your website, and when you said handle it, I thought you said into it, and I was like, no, no, what?
That's not right.
All right. I'm gonna put it when I post this everywhere. I'll put this in the description. And mine is everydaymanifesting.club. And my handle on Instagram is at the budget diary, and it's the_budget_diary. And I'm on Facebook just as my name, Franchelle Caesar.
Okay. So just you can just like when we wrap this up, put it in the chat, and then when I post it too, I can tag all of your things there too. But my people need to hear about all of your magicness and all of your great things too, because just the budget that just your tagline that you help you serve the spenders, that spoke to me, because I'm like, well, I'm gonna say I'm a recovering spender, but like the thrift stores, Target, like it was like my therapy.
Yeah.
Spending was my therapy. It's like I have all this stuff going on, but if I can, let me go buy this thing, or let me just walk through the store or pick this stuff up. And it turned into a whole much bigger than one or two things. But it was like therapy for me.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And I would say, like, what I do for my ladies, I empower them to own the fact that they're spenders. So I wouldn't even say you're a recovering spender, because spending is really your superpower. And I always tell people, like, I believe that spenders are better than savers because spenders are generous just by nature. Like, you may see something in the store, you're like, you know who would like that? So and so, let me get them one when I get me one, right? Like, you may spend all the money, but we're always giving. If somebody got a problem, we're giving money,
Sure.
and we essentially keep the economy going, right? When the economy is kind of a little bit tired, people get nervous, and a lot of people are holding their money close to their chest. It's the spenders who are like out there still like buying stuff, getting stuff on Amazon. When we couldn't go out for COVID, we ordering stuff on Amazon still, right? Like, because it's just like you said, it's therapy for us. So what I do, I help women to, and now I'm serving men too, but I help people to feel empowered about their spending and know that it's a superpower. But with every superpower, you have to know how to wield your power. You have to understand, like, when it's time to spend and when it's not time to spend, and what are the trade-offs. So what I do with my clients is we really dig deep. So first thing I do, I show them how to actually track and how to keep, look at the money. Because a lot of times spenders, like, we don't look at the money. When the credit card bill comes or whatever comes, we don't want, very high in the sand. We want to see, we don't know what the damage
Just check it when you think it's getting too low.
right, quick, like in the store, right, in the line, like, okay, good, okay, I can afford all this stuff. Yeah. And so we tend to, like, not want to look at that. We just avoid it, as long as the paycheck is rolling in and nothing is bouncing, we're good. So the first thing I do, I help them sort of self-soothe and manage their nervous system around actually checking, because that's a big deal. Like, just getting to, we call it the money date. It only takes an hour a week to manage your money. That's why I just did the previous hour before coming on here with you. We have a group session where it's easier when your girls are there, right? Like, it's easier to get into looking into your account when everybody is in the room and we're all looking at our account. That's one big thing that I put in my group. That was like, you have to have the money date as a group, as a collective, so that everybody is there. You don't feel like you're trying to do this by yourself. And so help them manage their nervous system to be able to sit down and actually do it. And then I teach them step by step on what to do, because spenders need a different process than savers. And the process is taught to the world, the Dave Ramsey's out there, is directed towards savers. Because spenders, there's a study where they had people just like answer, and there's about like 30% of people in America who would identify as spenders, and the other like 60-70% are savers. So of course, naturally, the information that you get, all the training and teaching you get, is geared towards people who can easily save and people who don't just find themselves in the middle of a shopping spree in Target. Like, that just keeps happening to me. Is that happening to y'all? You talk to people that and they're like, no. Like, I go in with my list. What's wrong with you? And then you start feeling like something's wrong with you. So that was happening to me, because I found myself in a lot of debt. I had a job where I made a lot of money. So it's all relative, right? You make a lot of money, you can spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so it happened. So when I had my twins, I realized that I wanted to like not work that hard because I am a workaholic. I loved working, but when the babies came, I was like, actually, you know. And so I had to get rid of all of my debt if I wanted to have a different lifestyle. So I figured out how to pay it all off. But in the process of figuring it out, I realized that all of the information I was getting and the steps and everything I was getting were not working for me. Like I needed some serious tweaks to the process because I'm a spender and saving doesn't come naturally for me. Like
Yeah.
I can do a no by July, but August is gonna look like a train wreck because I'm a bounce back and make up for lost time, right? Because that's not natural for me to just like put the credit card in the freezer. Okay, but guess what's gonna happen when it thaws out, right?
Right.
And so it's stuff
Well,
like
I'm down.
it's ideas like that that are given to people. And so as a spender, when you don't realize there's a difference between spending and saving and the behavior that you need to manage your money, you go in there thinking like, oh, I'm gonna do Financial Peace University, I'm gonna do the no by July, I'm gonna do all the things. And then when it fails, you think that you failed. Then
Yeah.
you start feeling like some kind of way. And all the stories that you've heard your whole life come back up, where people telling you not good with money, money's burning a hole in your pocket, like you're never gonna be rich, spenders won't be lenders, like all that. They get real creative with it, right? And so you start to feel like that's like there's guilt, there's shame. So when women come to me, they're always super anxious, like always across the board, super anxious. They're always feeling like they're behind in life.
Yeah.
They always feel like they've done something wrong, right? Like, oh, my parents were able to save all this money and they were teaching me how, if you have parents who would teach you how to manage money, and it's like, well, why couldn't I do that? Why did I do this wrong? Why did I make these mistakes? And it's like, because you didn't have the right process, right? The process that you need is so dramatically different than the one you've been trying to squish yourself and fit into this box and make yourself from a spender to a saver. And it's like, no, I want you to let the freak flag fly, be as much of a spender as you can possibly be. Like I'm gonna have t-shirts made, right? Like I want you to declare that you're a spender and be proud of it because it is a superpower. It means that you're generous. It means that you like nice things. You like pretty stuff, right? Like be proud you like pretty stuff. So what I do when women come into the club, like I said, first thing we gotta learn the process because I need you to be doing that week by week. And then we work on the mindset. A lot of the mindset is core values, because if you know 5 to 7 things that make you feel rich, you can funnel all of your money into those 5 to 7 things that make you feel rich. And all the other stuff that you're doing to make you look rich or to make your family feel good or whatever else you're doing, you don't have to do that anymore. So you end up immediately starting to save money just because you know what feels rich to you. And most of the time, when people make that list of those 5 to 7 core values, none of them involve money. Maybe one of them might involve money. And the rest of them are like free. Like you said, like time with my kids, being able to homeschool, all these kinds of things where it's like, when I realized my core values, I had this huge house, and I had a rental home, had all this stuff, right? When I realized that wasn't important to me, like I thought I had to have that because I was the first one to go to college in my family. I was a doctor, and people come over to my house, I'm supposed to have this huge house. I didn't want all of that. I didn't need all of that. So I moved. I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment. It's beautiful. I have a pool that I do not have to maintain. I can just go there, swim around, come back home. For my kids. Like it's like this is my nest. This is what I needed all along. But I was spending like way more money on something that I thought I was supposed to have. So we tackle stuff like that. Like what really does make you feel rich? You can have a huge house in all this rental property. Does that make you feel rich or does that make you feel stuck or whatever? It's different for everybody. Some people, they want to have nice clothes, nice shoes. If you want to have nice clothes, nice shoes, that's the thing that you need to focus on, right? Do it for yourself though, not because for anybody else, but that makes you walk tall and feel confident. That's where you shuttle your money. So if that's what's important, then why are you doing, whatever else it is they're doing that doesn't make them feel rich, that they're doing for another reason? So we do a lot of digging. We dig deep too. We go deep into that kind of stuff. I coach your brain. I will coach your face off because I am pursuing mastery level coaching. Like, I want people to really feel like when they walk away that they're changed, that there's a transformation that happened. I never tell anyone to cut up their credit cards. I never tell anyone to cancel their cable. Like, I never do that because I don't have to. When I coach your brain, you walk away and you're like, you know what? I don't need cable. I've been watching Netflix. Why do I have cable? You cut it off yourself. That's $175 every month that you're saving, right? So it's like, it's little stuff like that where I don't have to tell you what to do. And that's the thing. That's a beef I have with Dave Ramsey. That's my beef. Like, don't stop telling people what they need to do. You ain't in their life. And shaming them too. Like, don't shame someone because you're not in their life. Let people make their own decision. So that's what we do. We get together. They have 2 sessions a week. There's Tuesday is coaching. And actually I coach 3 times on Tuesday. So it's a group session. You pick the time you want to come. Last week I had one girl, she came to all 3. I was like, you go, girl, that's what I'm talking about. You come to all 3. She came to all 3 sessions. But you pick the session you want to come to. Thursdays we do co-working all together. There's video modules that you can watch, to know the process, to like things that I come up with. I'll like make a video so you can understand, what's going on in my brain. It's just like, it's a program that works. Like, people are getting results. And that's
awesome.
Going into it. Yeah. Last year, so many people paid off credit cards. That's just like too many to mention. 2 people paid off their car. 1 person paid off their house. Like, it's just like, and it was like with months. And it's like, I don't have to tell people to do these things. Like, as they are going through the process of not being afraid to look at their money and seeing where things really go, and then they have their core values, it's like, actually, and the next thing you know, it's like all these money moves are happening. So I'm super proud of them. I'm like, this is exactly what I dreamed of 2 years ago. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm like, y'all are doing it. This is amazing. So yeah, so that's what I do.
That's so awesome, because I've never even thought about it as spenders and savers. Like, I just thought about it as, okay, if you want to have money, then these are the principles that you need to do. And the fact that you have separated the habits, the personality traits within these people so that you can better serve them is so much more efficient. And it's like, it makes so much more sense. I'm like, the world needs to know this, because this is a totally different way of even thinking about the money and stuff. Like, even with like the Dave Ramseys and things like that, I can save. Like, I love spend. I love to spend. I'm very generous. I love to give. That's like my love language is giving, all of those things. But I can save when I want to. But I found that a lot of those programs have failed for me. And the thing that you were saying about how he downs people, how he makes them feel bad, when you feel bad about something that you feel that you did not do accurately, your reaction is to just spend and then start over. Or, well, I failed, so I'm going to go buy, I'm going to go splurge, and it kind of like creates this, this cycle,
it really does.
That makes what they get out of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. And that's why like the no buy July doesn't work. Because you're going to constrain yourself, and then you're going to slip up. And then you're shopping as therapy anyway. So how do you, soothe yourself when you can't sustain a no buy month the whole month through? You just go shopping, right? And it's like, that's your fallback method for self-soothing. And so that's why we teach, let's get to the bottom of what's going on in your head when you're shopping, so that is not your fallback method, right? Most of the time we are going out and buying things to bring home because we want them to make us feel better, and we're filling a void, or we're buying something for someone else, sometimes to manage how that person feels about us. And so once we understand, it's like, once we get that and we finally understand that like there's a reason that we're spending, and it's deeper than what we think. We're trying to avoid an emotion. We're trying to avoid a difficult conversation. Like there's something else going on here. Once we bring that out in the club, most of us are like, oh, and then your behavior changes, right? Because your awareness changes. So it's a lot of fun. I love what I do now. I used to be the hospital doctor. Thank God I don't have to be a doctor anymore because they are going through it. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I feel bad for y'all. But yeah, there's so much joy in what I do now. And I remember when I was working in the hospital, people would come in and they would have like their diseases would be like flared up, mostly because of like depression and anxiety. And I remember I always used to think like, if I could just figure out how to like catch the depression and anxiety before it gets out of control, these people would not end up in the hospital. But that wasn't my job. So nobody cared that I cared about that. So now I get to help people catch that before it gets out of control. Because so much of what we go through emotionally is tied to our money. And money it rules everything around us, right? So once you can kind of like the first thing that happens when you start working on your money is you get a good night's sleep. Like it's amazing, like the weight is lifted and it's like, oh, it's off your mind. You get a good night's sleep. So that's how I'm curing depression and anxiety. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone, try to get the message out to the world because there is a better way. Especially if you're a spender, you don't have to be in a program for savers and then feel dragged because you want something nice.
Yeah. And I think that part, that core part at the end is how you and I are so similar, because a lot of entrepreneurs are stressed out and burned out because they don't have the time. And then on your end, people are going depressed, getting depressed and feeling stressed out and burned out because of the money and the big cloud on their back about the money. And it's working through those processes so that they can have the both time freedom and the money freedom all together.
Exactly. It's so important. It's like the whole reason why we do this. Especially, if you're an entrepreneur who's a spender, there's so much anxiety that you probably like we discount the anxiety of like, am I gonna spend all the money? Like, oh, I'm making bad decisions. Like you want to invest in coaching, you're like, oh, but
yeah, so we always want to invest in coaching.
You always want to invest in coaching. Coaching is the best investment. But then we wonder, like, we doubt our own decisions. Like, am I making a good decision, a good investment? Because in the past, I've made some mistakes, some bad investments. I had some debt. And then you start to equate that and you're thinking that you're going to fail because you had these things that you've done in the past. So it's like I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. I love working with entrepreneurs because they have such great ideas. I love like hearing people's ideas. But I want them to succeed, like I want spenders to have lots and lots and lots of money. When spenders have a lot of money, the world benefits, right? The world, because we're so generous, because we keep things going, because we buy stuff and we circulate the money, right? You don't want, if a billionaire is like hoarding all the cash, it's like, no. Let it circulate. And so the thing about it, you mentioned saving before, and you also mentioned abundance because it's not either or. It's not like either you spend or you save. Like spenders can also save. And so I teach them how to save automatically and have what, you can still play with the money that you want to play with, but you're also saving and building. And you never go to square one again. You never go to, rock bottom broke again because you always have money making money in the background. I teach them how to do that, how to organize their accounts, everything, like all the things we talk about investing, talk about all the things that you need to, to be successful with money. So it's a lot of fun. It's fun being in the club. It's fun learning. So yeah, everybody who's watching this needs to hire both of us. So I don't know how y'all gonna do it now, but
get both. It's not a or, it's both. Get both. But this has been so fun.
So fun. I'm so happy to talk to you. So we're gonna close out now. We'll put our information down below so you guys can check us out. Ask any questions, hit us up in the DMs. If you have any questions, we are happy to help. And we will see you next time. Bye.